So, just last night we've chanted Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, and I might continue from that theme that we had covered. The Four Noble Truths. The first Noble Truth, namely, is Dukkha. So let's look a little bit close what the Dukkha is and what is the duty that the Buddha had assigned with regards to the Noble Truth of Dukkha. And as I speak, feel free to take a comfortable posture and meditate. This is something I have learned from one of my teachers who I have never met, but I've been studying his Dhamma talks and his biography, Lumpoli Dhammadaro, who was one of the disciples of Ajahn Mun. And he would recommend his students to sit and meditate, focus on the breath, and make yourself comfortable as possible, because when we are talking about things that has a potential to disturb the mind, like dukkha, for example, it's best to prepare the mind to make it spacious so that it can accept the truth. So there is a truth of dukkha that is already inherent in our body. We've been born in human body. We have to witness how it's aging, deteriorating. Eventually there will be time when we have to face the imminent, namely that the body or the khandhas will deteriorate to the point of non-return, and then they will go back to where they came from. The elements will return back to the elements, and it's good that we have a chance to practice what the Buddha taught, to prepare ourselves for that time. So the truth of dukkha has to be understood. When it's understood completely, then one can witness the origination of dukkha or tanha. But the problem with the modern society is that it's not understood as dukkha. In fact, what is dukkha as perceived as its opposite? We think that there is something that can make us happy. What is the goals that the society pursue and always been pursuing, thinking that this will give us happiness? Career, family, wealth. How much of these things can make us happy? The Buddha taught that whatever is impermanent is inevitably suffering because of its changing nature. It changes, it becomes otherwise. You have a house, eventually it will dilapidate and fall into ruin. You have family, people who we like and love, one day we will have to separate from them. We cherish our appearance, our youth. They will be gone one day. So what is it that is taken as I, or what is it that belongs to that I? As you practice mindfulness of breathing, try to feel comfortable and see what is it sitting here, breathing in, breathing out. Where is that I? Can you point a finger and say, this is I? If you're observant, you will notice how the sense of who you are is constantly shifting. We feel and we believe that this feeling is what I am. I feel, therefore I am. Or is it a thought, a memory from the past, something pop into the mind? And as one Western philosopher said, I think, therefore I am. Is it the case? Maybe it's a fantasy. Some of the string of thought that's been popping up since we can't even remember. They come, they go. What is it? Is there anything permanent to which we can point a finger and identify as me and myself? Even the sankharas or preparations, the physical preparation in form of in and out breathing, it comes and it goes. Everything is just in here, in the in and out breathing. The whole model of the universe is there. There is a big bang, when everything comes into existence, it expands, then it reaches the point when it cannot expand anymore. So it collapses. That's the out breathing. Then there is nothing, and then the cycle continues. You can witness the birth and death of the universe right here in the process of your breathing in, breathing out. If any of you had observed how a baby child plays, they can't even know what the name of the objects are. But they play with them, they know what the objects are, what their functions are. A child can pick up a rubber ball and play with it. It doesn't know what the ball is, but it knows that it gives him pleasure. It's a plaything. If you try to take the ball from the child will cry, because it knows, I play with this gives me happiness. You take the ball away, the child will cry because its happiness is taken away. This is a small model of how, when we become adults, how we get attached to things that are not ours, don't belong to us. When we place happiness on them. And we will suffer when there is time to separate. That's why when the Bodhisattva decided to go in search for permanent happiness, this is what was his reasoning, that I am subject to old age, sickness and death. If I will be seeking happiness in what is subject to old age, sickness and death, it will not be a true permanent happiness. What is not true permanent happiness? And in other words, this is suffering. This is what the Bodhisattva's insight into the truth was. If it's not giving a permanent, everlasting happiness, then it is not. It's not happiness. In fact, in the whole teachings of the Buddha, he never says that there is happiness. He was saying that cessation of dukkha is peace, and then there is no happiness which is higher than that. So this is what we are trying to achieve through our practice. We are seeking peace. And that peace can be called happiness, for the absence of a better word. But it comes from seeking that truth. As we are sitting here and observing the breath, going in, coming out, somewhere there it can be found. That everlasting, permanent happiness. As the Buddha once gave an instruction to Bahia, a spiritual seeker, who was one of the quickest attainers. It was only a very brief instruction by the Buddha, 4 lines. It was enough for Bahia to understand. Tasmatiha Bahia evang sikitabang. This is how Bahia you should train yourself. Ditte dittamatang bhavisati. In seeing, may there be only the seen for you. Sutte suttamatang bhavisati. In the hearing, may there be just the heard for you. Mutte muttamatang bhavisati. In the cognized, may there be just the cognized for you. And when you are like this, you will be not here, not there, nor in between. Just this is the end of suffering. So that is pointing to the truth of when we are living in the world, we are living according to the, we use words to describe things, and when we use words, then becomes duality. There is I. If there is I, then there will be you. There will be he, she, them. So there will be many around. When this notion is removed from the mind, when there is no I, there will be no you, us or them. It becomes all same. Just this is the end of suffering, not being here, there, or in between. Like Venerable Adimutta, one of the Arahants from the early Sangha, once was caught by bandits. Excuse me. And the bandit chieftain asked him, "Why is it that you are not afraid? Why is it that you are not trembling in fear like everybody else who we caught before?" They all were trembling in fear and begging for mercy. "Why don't you do?" And the Venerable Adimutta said, "For someone who had seen the Dhamma, there is nothing substantial in this body. It's only the preparations that will be destroyed. I can see this body not different from the grass and twigs scattered around. What is it there to lament?" So they let him go. Moreover, they turned into his disciples because the radiance and the peacefulness of Adimutta were so high that they were very impressed. But that is the result of the training, of seeing and not investing yourself into the seen, hearing, and not investing yourself into what's been heard. And same with cognizing. The ideas arise. There is no one who makes these ideas to arise in the mind. It's just a reflection of what's been observed in the past, witnessed, sensed. Mere reflection. Like clouds in the sky, they arise, come from somewhere, they go somewhere. They don't pollute the sky, they just persist there for a while, then they disappear. If you look in your thinking process, it's exactly the same. Thoughts, many a time, don't have the beginning, they don't have the end. They arise, they persist, they disappear. When we practice mindfulness of breathing, There is only a breath that we should be interested in. See what characteristic of the breath is there. Is it long? Is it short? How does it affect the body? Is it comfortable to take a long breath? Or is it comfortable to breathe in short, breathe out short? You can experiment because there are many different ways one can breathe. And depending on the day, depending on our physical condition, it can be different breathing pattern that can benefit us at that particular moment. So try, experiment, and try to find a nice, comfortable place, because there will be different sensations that are arising. Some of them will be more pleasant than the others. So when we find that spot which is particularly comfortable, we place the mind there. And from there on, we expand our awareness to the other parts of the body, feeling the whole body with the feeling. This gives an initial respite from the havoc that the mind can cause. It causes to be separated from the sensations of the body. We are immersed in the thought world. We create it, we inhabit it, and then it collapses when it reaches the end of its cycle. Then we are seeking for a new world. Staying aware with the breath, it gives us an alternative to shift the focus of identity from the thinking process, from creating ideas, into merely observing the sensations of the body. If you want a more technical term, it's called Vedana-Anupassana. It's one of the 4 satipatthanas, or the path of establishing mindfulness, which the Buddha said this is a direct way of liberation. Maintaining mindfulness in every posture, maintaining mindfulness when you are sitting, you know you are sitting. As you're breathing in, breathing out, you're aware of the length of your breath. So you're aware of the posture, aware of the breath. The more difficult is to introduce Dhamma-Anupassana, a contemplation of mental objects. Contemplation as opposed to identification with. There is not my thoughts, my ideas, or my memories. There are thoughts that arise in the mind, ideas that arise in the mind, and memories that arise in the mind. There is no one who is doing it. They are happening. Same with the feeling. Feeling is happening. Happening in the body that consists of the 4 elements. The interaction between the mind and the matter, or nama-rupa, is happening right here, right now, at this moment. There is a sensation of heaviness in the body. This is how we perceive earth element, of which the body is made. There is a sensation of water. You can feel it as the moisture in the mouth. Sometimes it's the viscosity of the body. You can feel fire element as feeling cold or feeling warm. And you can feel air element as in and out breath. But there is also air element which is not actively moving in the body. There are pockets of breath or the air which is already stored within the body, in the cavities. There is a stale breath in the bottom of the lungs. There is air in the cranium and bubbles of oxygen traveling through the body. All this is air element. You can go a bit deeper and contemplate the body as different constituent parts. What is it that it's made up of? The 5 visible parts of the body is hair, hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth, skin. If you're brave enough, you can venture inside and contemplate the organs of which the body is made. Keep an image of your favorite organ. Is there one? Can you place your eye on any of those things? Is it the heart which is the eye? Or is it the liver? If you place all the internal organs in front of you and look at them, will there be anything that you would like to associate? And yet when it's all combined and concealed with the skin, we can find it attractive. Hold on to it as I, me, myself. If you do it often, see what the body is made up of, what the feeling is made up of, then the infatuation will gradually, little by little, fade away. Then what is made up of elements will be seen as just elements. Focus on the feeling. See if there is any uncomfortable feeling. Don't stare at it, but be aware that it's there. If you stay long enough, any feeling will change. Pleasant feeling change to unpleasant feeling change to pleasant feeling. There is a neutral feeling as well, of which we are normally not aware. But if you train yourself into observing any kind of feeling, whatever arises, as it arises, persist, disappear and change, you will notice that there are many different feelings. In the same spot there could be different layers. Some are gross, some subtle. None of them can be said as belonging to oneself. Merely feelings arise, pass away. Painful feeling only exists as long as the body exists. With the dissolution of the body, all painful feelings will be gone, all pleasant feelings will be gone. Keeping that in mind, you wouldn't place your happiness on any of the feelings. So as you're focusing on the breath, you may direct your mind to contemplating of the breath without any deviation to other things. But if it happens, observe the feeling, come back to the breath. Eventually the breath will become very subtle. Because if you're not thinking that the need of oxygen in the brain also diminishes. So the breath is becoming subtle. The body calms down. At some point, you might even feel that you're not breathing at all. Fear may arise. Will I die? When will it happen? If I'm not breathing, will I die now? If you reach that point, just stay with the sensation of subtle breathing, because it's still happening. There are many different ways how the body can get oxygen. It comes in through the pores, through the skin. It doesn't have to be brought in through the nostrils. If the mind is very quiet, then there will be imperceptible breath. Stay with the contemplation of the mind objects. See how they arise, pass away. None of them can be said has been made by you, belong to you. When the mind is still, it reaches the point when no mental object arises. Mind becomes very subtle and very quiet. It attains to a certain state of peacefulness. Then you will know it for yourself, that when the mind is not occupied with worldly desires, it had left obsession with the world, it is peaceful and happy. This is the feeling that helps us to maintain sanity between our meditation sessions. When you emerge from your formal meditation, do it mindfully, being aware of the breath, of the feeling, and gradually bring yourself back into the interaction mode with the world. If you're mindful like that of your posture, is it sitting, standing? As you walk, be aware of the walking process and the sensation on the feet. Whatever you do, stay with that awareness of being there, being present. Eventually it becomes a way of life. Mindfully approaching the last day, being always ready. That was the Buddha's instruction. When the mind is not obsessed with the preoccupations of the world, where it's focused entirely within what's going on inside, then you can see how happiness arises within, how unhappiness also arises within. All the feelings eventually will disappear. Everything will come back to where it came from. The mind doesn't have to be preoccupied with any of those concerns. You stay for a little bit longer with your breath. Try to make it long, comfortable, relax. So now you can gradually bring yourself back and focus on sounds outside. See it as just the sound. Contact at the ear, which doesn't have to be internalized, evaluated. When you open your eye, you will be contacted with objects and eye consciousness. Leave it as that. Whatever is seen, may there be just the seen. There are objects, there are eye consciousness, understanding what you see. Same with what's been heard. Maybe one day you're in a situation when somebody is trying to have an argument with you. They may throw words of abuse at you. If you just acknowledge that I'm hearing words of abuse, if you don't invest yourself into it, it will be just words. That's how we make ourselves well protected, by not associating with any of the khandhas. It was advice given by Venerable Sariputta to Anathapindika when Anathapindika was dying. He asked Venerable Sariputta to come to him and to give him instructions. And Venerable Sariputta taught Anathapindika to not use anything as a basis of your consciousness. When consciousness is not dependent on anything at all, it becomes unestablished consciousness, or anidasana vijnana, consciousness that will not take birth, because there is nothing that it can be placed upon. So I will stop talking here, and you may continue meditating for a while until you feel comfortable to bring yourself mindfully back into the world and continue with your mindful living until the next meditation session.